Hello, so I'm doing a get ready with me. This is like my last full day here at the ranch on my first tour. I'm gonna see what other tours look like. I hope you don't mind my rushing, but this is definitely the most I've felt in my body in about 7 years of my life. And I know there's mostly men on this channel, and I want to honor your journeys and sexuality. Some of the things I've kind of really embraced is that, you know, if you're coming over from my AthenaRose account, that journey was literally like just figuring out how to do OnlyFans and how to do social media in that way, in a big way, where, you know, I'm healing religious trauma, all that stuff. But now that I feel like, you know, as I'm heading towards the age of 40, you know, how I really want to embrace my sexuality is like no longer taking shit from anybody. That includes comedy, that includes relationships, that just includes everything. And in life, people are going to judge you for anything. But if you've ever worked with an abusive boss, it's the same thing. Like, your body is on the line, your mental health is on the line. And at least at this job, which is a very unique job, one of the things I've learned is sisterhood, camaraderie, really standing in your confidence, because when you're doing a lineup, like, you're next to gorgeous women, and like, I'm not from a model world. I never danced. I never did anything like that. I am truly a science biology nerd that is just learning about my sex and sexuality later in life. Not to say that I hadn't had long-term relationships. I went through something called pelvic floor dysfunction therapy, where you have to kind of retrain your pelvis and retrain your cervix to have orgasms after surgery. So there's a lot of things that go into sex and sexuality that I think we don't talk about in society. And I think a lot of these bro podcasts really benefit. Like, if you really listen to all the top comedy podcasts, all the top bro podcasts, they're benefiting off of their sexual experiences with women, and they're making money off of it. So basically, they're hooking up with women for free, and then they're making money off of ad placements in order to keep the conversations going. And really, how is that not economically infiltrating a woman's pussy? Just food for thought. So what I feel, you know, there's people that may judge what I'm doing, but I very much have always been a monogamous woman in relationships. I've always been faithful. I've always been loyal. And I feel like this is a time in my life where I can really let my freak flag fly. And it's not even like flying off the handle. I will get into a video later on about Aubrey Marcus and Mama Gina, who's like has the School of Womenly Arts. They were on a podcast together, and they were discussing the bunny ranch itself, and they put out some like thoughts on the bunny ranch. And I would love to have a conversation with both of them, because Mama Gina is a professional courtesan. She wrote a whole book on it called Pussy. And I believe Aubrey Marcus is in a sex commune. So it's very weird to hear that kind of rhetoric come from people like that, where it's like, shouldn't y'all be sex positive and get a little bit more data before you make claims and such on things like that? So these are just like my morning get ready with me thoughts. I'm filming this on Tuesday, and I leave tomorrow, Wednesday. And then I'm considering if or when I'll be coming on a tour again, if this is really what is in the stars for me, or if this is an experience that I truly needed to finally feel in my body after 2 extremely abusive relationships, where I gave my all to those motherfuckers. So I think there's no business school like staying in a place like the Bunny Ranch. And I definitely think if you're a woman out there who's been through the throughs in a relationship, it's a really interesting way to reclaim your power. Obviously, there's 1,000 million ways to reclaim your power. I've gone to yoga ashrams. I've abstained from sex I've been celibate for a long time, intentionally. There's so many things, but for anybody that's going to throw shade, consider the wider scope, consider the bigger picture, the macrocosm of a scenario where somebody would take a year to even consider things like this, with a good amount of research under my belt on this particular professional decision. And I feel like as I'm going towards 40, I have a lot of wisdom that I've gained over the years in dating, sex communication, and autism, which I think is, I'm gonna talk about this on stage, but I feel like there's a lot of incels online. I mean, I've personally been attacked and gotten death threats from guys online who did not like what I did in stand-up comedy. And I know a lot of women have to deal with that. So I think a lot of these guys come to places like this because there's nobody really that can hear them or understand them. And it's a very fascinating experience. So I just wanted to put that out there in my Get Ready With Me this morning. And if you have any questions, send me a DM. Have a great day.